Hey guys, what's up? I'm back once again for another video, and in this video I'm going to be starting a whole new series where I pretty much talk about my top 30 favorite movies of all time. I've been wanting to do these videos for such a long time, but I've never gotten around to it, and now I feel like it's time to go ahead and get into it, because there are so many movies that I love, so many movies that I've watched for years and years and years, and I've grown up with, and I love, and I can honestly say that these movies are definitely my favorite ones. I can watch these movies all the time, whenever I'm in the mood for, going back and, wanting to see something that I used to watch when I was little, I would throw these movies in. So, yeah, there's about 30 of them, and even 30 was hard for me. It was hard to narrow it down to just 30 of my favorite ones. But I'm going to go ahead and get into these. First off, I want to say there isn't going to be any horror movies or any Christmas movies. And the reason why is because I've already done videos where I've talked about my favorite horror movies. So if you guys don't see any horror films in these lists, it's simply because, I've already talked about my favorite ones. Same thing with my Christmas movies. And there are some movies that I would consider my favorite movies that are Christmas related or horror, but there won't be in these videos. These are just going to be like my comedies, my action movies, and any other, my family films, and anything like that. Also, all the movies I'm going to be talking about are probably movies that I've grown up watching. Rather, I saw them when I was a little kid, and I just would watch them over and over again. Because when I was a little kid, I didn't really get outside very often when I was a little kid. And so I would just sit around and just watch movies over and over again. And these are some of the movies that I would watch constantly. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm only going to show off, a couple of stacks in this video. And then I'll do more tomorrow. And I'm not going to do these videos all back to back. I'm going to do 2 videos this week. And then I'll take a break. I'll do a video of something else, and then I'll come back to the series, so that people won't get bored seeing the same thing, and I can make up my mind on what movies I want to show and what videos. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first movie I want to talk about is a Disney film which stars Brendan Fraser, and it is George of the Jungle. And this is basically kind of like a Tarzan story. Brendan Fraser plays this wild man who lives in the jungle, and then he meets, of course, the girl in the movie. Her name's not Jane. I forget who plays the girl who supposedly I forget her name in the movie, but he basically meets her, falls in love with her, and you know the basic story. But this movie is actually really, really fun. One of the characters in it, Ape, he talks, and he's really intelligent, and he basically stays with George, and it's kind of like his guide throughout the entire movie. Really fun family film, definitely right here. I know a lot of people have probably seen this, but if you haven't, I definitely recommend George of the Jungle for a lot of, family, people with families. Also, I really love the theme song to it. I'm not going to sing it now, but if you guys watch the movie and you don't know what I'm talking about, George of the Jungle, one of my favorite Disney movies right here. The next movie was put out by DreamWorks, and it is Mouse Hunt by with Nathan Lane and Lee Evans. And basically what this movie is about is these 2 brothers. They're I think it's their grandfather. Yeah, their grandfather dies and leaves them this huge mansion. And of course it's a dump. No one's been there in years, and so they just, of course, that's all I think of it is a dump. But they end up staying there, and they find out that there's a mouse running around, and they try to, of course, they set out a trap trying to kill it, and then they go and they sort of research the house and find out it's actually a really, really rare house that was built by this artist, and it turns out that the mansion is actually worth a lot of money, and they want to eventually sell it, and then they'll get tons of money for it. The only problem is that the mouse is around, and the whole movie is just them trying to get this mouse and kill it, and it's really a funny film. Like, there's one scene where they put mouse traps all around the entire in this one room, and the mouse comes over and sets one of them off, and they get covered in it. There's a scene of it right there. They get covered in mouse traps. Really funny movie. It's rated PG, But even when I was younger, I felt that some of the jokes in this were made for more of an adult. I think that this was more of an adult film. You know, I don't think it was really made for like you know, younger kids, but it's still a pretty funny movie. Like I said, for kids and, you know, for families. But you know, if parents want to see this movie, I recommend they watch it first, because there's some jokes in it that are kind of like, you know, risque. Even when I was little, I was like, yeah, this shouldn't be in that movie, but it's still a really funny one. Mouse Hunt. I think a lot of people have seen this one as well. The next one I know a lot of people have seen, but it's Robin Williams and Jumanji. Now, I never played the, I mean, I never watched, not watched, I never read the book, Jumanji, when I was younger, but I ended up watching this movie and really liking it. Basically, I don't really need to explain a lot of these movies. I'm not going to explain this one, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people have seen Jumanji, but after I watched this movie, I actually got a toy version of the game and started playing it a lot, and it's really just a great family film. You know, Robin Williams is in it, of course Bonnie Hunt, and Kirsten Dunst plays the sister in this, and it's just really a funny movie. This was also one of the movies when I was younger. When I was younger, this was also one of the movies that scared me when I was a little kid. There were the scenes at the beginning with the bats flying around. That scene always used to just creep me out a little bit. But yeah, Jumanji, really great movie. Now the next one is, I know a lot of people might say the first one is one of their favorites, but I didn't grow up with the first one. I actually saw the second one before I saw the first one, and so I actually like the second one a bit more, but it's Homeward Bound 2. Lost in San Francisco. I'm not sure if that many people know that there was a sequel to this movie, but I saw this movie back before I saw the first one, and I didn't even know it was a second one. I just thought it was just Homeward Bound, and you know, I watched this really good one. Instead of them being lost, you know, in the woods like in the first film, they're lost in the big city, San Francisco, and it's basically just them trying to get home, like the first film was. But I really do enjoy this one. I have a lot of memories of watching this movie, and it's definitely one that I highly recommend. For anybody who's a fan of the first one, they'll really enjoy this one as well. Okay, now we're going to get one of my favorite cartoon films. Surprisingly, this one is not a Disney cartoon, but it's definitely one of my favorite cartoons of all time, and that is Balto. And basically this movie, it's based on the true story about this dog named Balto who ends up saving this little girl's life. Basically they're like dogs that are set in, I forget what time period it's set in, but it's set like back when they used to have to put dogs on sleds and like pull medicine to like different parts of like the world or whatever. And yeah, it's basically about, it's a true story like I said, and basically it's about Balto, and he's supposed to help carry this medicine to this girl who's sick and is dying. But like I said, I can't remember the exact date or time period that it is, but it's set back in the time when you used to have those what do you call it, those click things where you would click down on it and it would send like a message, like kind of like typing. I know you guys probably don't know what I'm talking about right now, but I just can't think of what it's called right now. Where you click it and it makes it, I can't remember. But it's also got a pretty good cast. When I was younger, I didn't know who any of these people are, but it's got a Kevin Bacon, Bridget Fonda, Bob Hoskins, and Phil Collins. Yeah, so a pretty good cast. But yeah, like I said, if anybody wants to see it, definitely recommend checking this movie out. For those of you who have not seen it, I have not seen the second or the third one. No, I saw the second one and I was not impressed, so I'm going to forget about that. But the original Balto is a really good movie. And now the next one is a movie I actually watched this morning. And this was actually a movie sort of based on a really great classic cartoon series, and it's Casper. Back when I first saw this movie, I didn't know what Casper was. I just knew that he was a ghost, basically. And when I saw this movie, I really did enjoy it. Really good, fun movie. It was executive produced by Steven Spielberg, and it stars Bill Pullman and Christina Ricci. I'm sure everyone knows who those two people are. But this movie is basically Bill Pullman plays sort of a ghost psychiatrist, and he basically tries to help ghosts find out their problems and try to help them cross over, meaning cross over to either heaven or hell or wherever you are planning on going. And his wife just died, and basically he's trying to communicate with his wife is the main reason why he's doing it. And he takes his his daughter Kat, who is played by Christina Ricci, and they end up finding this huge mansion. Basically, they're hired by this old widow, and she inherits a mansion from her father who just died, and apparently the mansion has a safe in it and is worth a lot of money. But yeah, Casper basically sees Bill Pullman's character on TV, and then he sees Kat and ends up sort of falling in love with her, and then he ends up finding a way to get the widow to call Bill Pullman's character and take him to the mansion. It's a really good film. I noted they did like several Casper movies. I have all three of them. Casper, then Casper: A Spirit Team Beginning, and Casper Meets Wendy. This one is probably the best one, in my opinion. One thing I never got about the Casper movies and about the Casper TV show, which I didn't know about the TV show until after I saw this, and then I started watching the cartoons on VHS and DVD, is that every single movie, it always starts off with him being alone and then him finding a friend. And then in the next movie, or in the next cartoon, it'd be him alone again, and then him find another friend. I guess it was just like, at the end of each movie, it's either I guess they say, I really didn't understand how that was. I figured that they would continue on with him being, living with whoever he becomes friends with, but, Either way, this is a really good movie. It's on DVD. I've seen it in the Walmart bin for like $5. So if anybody wants to see this, is a fan of Casper and has not seen this movie, I definitely recommend this one. Really good one right here. Alright, well, I'm going to move on to more adult comedies. And this is definitely my favorite Addams Sandler movie. This was the first Addams Sandler movie that I saw, and ever since then, I've always loved his films. And this is actually really not one of his, like, silly roles. This is a really good, serious role, and it's Big Daddy. And this is a really great movie. Adam Sandler plays Sonny Kovacs is his name, and he's basically sort of low down. He really doesn't have a good paying job. His girlfriend leaves him. And it's because he won't take responsibility for himself, and he acts like a kid. Until one day, this little boy named Jillian, picture right here, he gets dropped off, and it's actually his friend's son that his friend didn't know that he ever had. And so what Adam Sandler does is that he lies to social services and says that he is his friend and that Julian is his son, and he basically adopts him illegally. And basically it's just him and just getting close with the kid and becoming friends with him, and it's a really, really great movie. I'm sure everyone has seen this movie. It's definitely, in my opinion, Adam Sandler's best film. It's funny, but it's also really serious, and it does get kind of sad at the end, but then it works out for everybody in the end. But it's really, really a great movie. I could not recommend this more. And this is the funny scene of when they're both peeing on the door. Yeah, that scene is really funny. If you've seen the movie, you know what it is. But Big Daddy, definitely my favorite Adam Sandler movie. I'm gonna check how much time I have on my. All right, I have more time than I thought. Also, in case anybody is wondering, the first couple of movies that I'm showing off are in no particular order, because it's really hard for me to put these movies in a particular order to say, oh, I like this one better, or I like this one. So these movies are just sort of in random order. But in the last video, when I show off maybe my top 5 are in order. But I'm going to go ahead and keep going. Here's another movie with Christina Ricci, and it's the Addams Family movie. I remember, I forget where I got this from. It says it came from McDonald's right there, but I know I haven't. I've talked about this movie a lot in like my family film, horror-related movies that are good to watch for families, and this is a really funny one. Basically, just the Addams Family and Uncle Fester. He had a fight with Gomez, and he basically just sort of, runs off. He's done living there. And then years later, they contact him and they find out that, or they think he has amnesia. He later finds out that that Uncle Fester is the son of this woman who knows about the Addams Family fortune, and she basically just wants to get the money that they have. So they shave her son's head, and basically passes him off as Uncle Fester. It's really a good movie. Like I said, Christina Ricci plays Wednesday in it, which I thought she did a really good job as Wednesday. And yeah, Christopher Lloyd plays Uncle Fester, and Christopher Lloyd's one of my favorite actors. So this is a really good one. I definitely recommend this one. If anybody's a fan of the original series, I actually think that this is a really good movie version of it. I really do. Next one, a lot of these movies, like I said, I'm sure a lot of people have seen, so I'm not going to go into them that much. But the next one is Dr. Dolittle with Eddie Murphy. This was the first Eddie Murphy movie that I saw. And it was also one of the first PG-13 rated movies that I saw. And this is really funny. About Eddie Murphy, he has the ability to talk to animals. But of course, when he was younger, he could talk to his dog. And everyone thought that there was something wrong with him. So he got his dog taken away, and he vowed to never speak to animals ever again. Until as time went on, he became a doctor. And a lot of animals found out about him and were telling him, that they're sick. And he's basically the only person that knows what's wrong with them because he knows what they're saying, and he ends up sort of becoming their doctor. It's a really great movie. One of my favorite comedies of all time right here. Highly recommend it. I'm sure everyone's seen it, but it's still great. And there's also this really funny scene right here where one of the rat's friends, like, he's passed out and he doesn't know what's wrong with him, so he pushes down, Dr. Dolittle pushes him down on his stomach, and it makes him fart. He just had gas. Oh, you're telling me? That's one of the best scenes in the movie. This movie was hilarious when I was younger. I laughed so hard to this one. Definitely one of my favorites. The next one is another movie I'm sure everyone has seen, so I'm not even going to get into this. Dumb and Dumber. Jim Carrey, Jeff Daniels. What more can you say? Comedy, one of the best comedies of all time right here. I have a lot of good memories. All these movies I have tons of memories of watching. The next one, when I first saw this movie, it was one of the funniest movies that I think I've seen. It's not as funny as it was the first time I saw it, but it's still pretty good. And it's called Joe Dirt with David Spade. And basically, David Spade plays this character named Joe, who, when he was really young, he got separated from his family. And his whole movie is him trying to, find him. He works as a janitor, and, he's treated like crap by pretty much everybody. And, he has this hair right there, if you can see his hair, and it's a wig. And he was born without the top of his skull, so his mom put, a wig on him, and it got all infused and entwined. This is his story of how it happened. Really, really great movie. There's so many awesome scenes. There's one scene with the dog where it's during winter time and Joe Dirt's kind of homeless, and he is trying to steal stuff from this house, and he finds a dog, and the dog, because the porch is all wet, it's all cold from the snow and the ice, the dog gets his balls stuck to the porch. Yeah, and this is one of the first scenes in the movie. Really good one right here. Joe Dirt, definitely a funny one. Now the next one is a really great action movie. I think this was the first movie I saw Tommy Lee Jones in, and I saw this one back when I was really young, and it's the original Men in Black. Everybody knows this is probably the only really great one in the series. Always loved this movie. Like I said, there were scenes in it that when I was younger, it kind of creeped me out, but this movie never really scared me. But everyone knows about this. Tommy Lee Jones, he's a man in black, and they're basically here to take down aliens. They're like cops for aliens, basically secret agents. And Will Smith is basically hired into it. And yeah, really great movie. I've seen the second one. And even though a lot of people didn't like it, I thought it was decent for what it was. And the third one, I have not seen it yet, so I can't say, but, really good one. the funny thing about doing sequels for movies like this is that people always get so hyped up about them, and they always, you know, always have such anticipation, and then when you see them, then you're let down because they're not as good. But of course, they're not going to be good, or they're not going to be as good. I'm not saying that the sequels are bad, but they're not going to be as good because the first one was so great, and they waited so many years to do the second one that, or the third one, that whenever it comes out, then you're kind of like, oh. But I mean, you know, if a sequel stays true to the original, which I think Men in Black 2 did, if it stays true to the original, I really don't have a problem with it. You know, only if they change like full characters or they bring new people in, that's when I'm like, why bother doing it, you know? But now the last movie, this is kind of a weird movie. It's not a